오야 다치로 강가 다시 될래 드네요 드리야 다 강요나 사실 가와요 와이나 강가 되어 듣기고요 와요.
So, first of all, greetings Tashitele to all Dharma friends, wherever you may be. Geshe hopes that you are well and he hopes that you are happy.
소소소 산에 가와 레어 와이나 당한도 파스타 녀벌요 지루미네 som비토네 로조 듣기고도 녀레 기고가 되네 아니 제토야 그래요.
So Geshe hopes that wherever you are, wherever you may find yourself, you can imagine that we are here, that we are interacting directly, and that in this way we are true Dharma friends. And being connected directly, being true Dharma friends, we can then study and practice happily.
당한도 어느 같이 못들 당하로서 때네 로모 예서도 세이나요 때네 담만도사테 아니 쇼추 세다 타와 야슈 들세게 요아레스.
And so, whether we speak of ourselves or whether we speak about others in terms of the ultimate or the final destination, it is that state of ultimate liberation or enlightenment.
다 텔레트네 쇼추 론저 좀바 세네 텔레 간조 사자도 마스 콘도 사야 보질 롬모 요바데 달로 야 로르그네스테 아니 그 요아이사 테 샤고 간조 샤고다 워치기도 나마테테스 노요아레스.
And in terms of what we are looking at today, this is the teaching on the stages of the path to enlightenment. So we understand that we want to reach this destination of ultimate liberation or enlightenment, and that in order to be able to do this, there are many paths that we must follow in various steps. So this is the teaching of the Lamrim, the stages of the path to enlightenment, and we will be presenting this as a glance meditation.
다 어느 대학가로서 로제 서도 세이나요 때는 첸드지고 손도 계시나요 리디아도 세기바도 다 야 로제 그네야 소소이나레 소소가 nombayina 아니 야야가 다 서도 세이나요 강가 기보때 뭐지 그 야레스.
And when we speak even about the situation of this life, when we speak about ourselves or others, we know that generally we want to have a healthy body, we want to have a healthy mind, and we also want to have health and harmony with our friends, our family, and all of the people close to us.
다 지와 빛에 도보가 진열해 지기나요 시와니 시와다야 네스야 손지 마토 바드 보게 손도 계시나요 거로 시와 야보지도 드니 어달아요 드니 기보도 다 야보지 그 야레스.
And even a true Dharma practitioner who is thinking of the journey from lifetime to lifetime from the perspective of reaching this ultimate destination of Buddhahood or full enlightenment, they also need from lifetime to lifetime to have those conditions of a good rebirth.
다 됐더니 쪼지 쪼나고 지들이 다 그냥 간저 로저가 놀아 론지 안에 내려 통째가 싸와 안에 렌데라 이치게 대봐 스노우든지 나요레스.
So then, connected with this is one of the main topics of the Lamrim, which we will be looking at today. And this topic is rendered as the root of happiness, faith in cause and effect, or faith in karma.
아니 나로서 롬들로 야 론로도 그런 바텔 필로 다 내세 싸와도 야라도 다 던져서리 다 자라 먹어서 주요하를 뭐 요하를 때네 싸와서 하디 미비제도 다 가시에 가시 못해요 말레스.
And this is a very important topic. We can know this because in the vast texts on the Lamrim, there are many stages of the path that are followed. Within those stages are many practices and branch practices, perhaps hundreds, but there are only a few where the word root is used, including this topic of karma. So root indicates its importance.
오다 강가 로로 데데네 대화도 누가 강가 로로 때네 셰퍼보 연다요 말레스. 또 시셰가 요하르세는 내가 시가 요하이자 아니 레다 레베트네 렌데기네스 같이 모치레스.
So when we speak about happiness and when we speak about suffering, the agent or the doer that brings forth that happiness or suffering, that is not another person and so forth. This happiness or suffering is arising in dependence upon karma. So this is very important.
다 들리지 있다더니 레 전에 야레 코로프 셰퍼보 레레 되네 레 가르소도 마조세 대하데 또 나로서 롱가 라바로 요하르 마도 오타 레레스네 바자자 데데 드니게 자마레스.
So also when we say that karma is the doer, we understand that nominally karma is the doer, the driving force, but the karma that we accumulate, right? This is something that is in our hands, something that is in our responsibility. So when we say karma, we don't just think of like a passive thing, oh, that's just karma, right? This relates to us.
다 레 중에 뭐 요하르 되네 레 냠바지나 바까야랑 나로서 니파 요하레 레 어버데 팀미야 약간 뭐 법이 돼야 그랬더니 약간 메도 마음에서 소설라 빨리 와르마도 아니 이제 비저 그게 약간의 되게 하면 됐어.
And also, we understand that in terms of karma, this is something that we do have some initiative over. So, for example, when we speak of negative karma, we can take steps to reduce engaging in those negative actions that accumulate negative karma. And similarly, we can take steps to cultivate wholesome karma or positive karma, as well as bringing forth the conditions for it to ripen.
다 렌데 여보 하고 하셔 봐라 또 드니 같이 뭐시 시야 되는 이나요 대 그냥 갈래지는 거 다했지 이행을 내 동보 쓰도 쓰이나요 아니 리 라와 하고 돼야 다 내선데 대에서 같이 뭐 되고 같은 마 로비스
So Geshe said that he wants to present normally when we speak about karma or cause and effect, there are 4 points that are commonly given when explaining this topic. But in addition to this, Geshe also wants to give, within this context of a type of meditation, some points that will be easier for beginners to sort of contemplate.
달리도 세rum 바스 자네 되는 레레 되게 som바다 가디나 라마 동보 될때레스
So, as usual, this first step is just to put our body and our mind into a calm but relaxed state.
드니 레레 지네레 다 레세나 다 레카치 계속 하러 와서 레카치 세자 드니 레카치케 스레세나 나로서나 나사 쿠사데레스
And so when we say karma, karma has this connotation of action. So if we think, well, then what or who is engaging with the action or with the work? It is that we call the self or the I.
마리 비게선스를 구자세 나세야 됐더니 따바 요한 로지메바 아니 뎀바트바 드리게 선스지 뎀보지 야레 되는 이나요 대침보진 어디 야레스
Ignorance, the conception of ignorance tells us that the self or this I is something that is permanent, stable, and truly existent. But of course, this is something that is gravely mistaken. That is not how it is.
자이 마리 바티가 나세야 아바도 롬보트리 지수사와 이자 드링 아티가 파실을 따와 이나요 아니 이해도 공화 이해도 먹고 가르 통화 이나요 아니 그렇게 땜보여봐 지도 드리지 주주가 이자 아니 저도 간가 땜보죠
Because of grasping at this self or this I as something that is stable, independent, and permanent, then similarly the things that arise to the I, whether they are attractive, whether they are unattractive, we also grasp at these as being truly existent, stable, and permanent. And because of this, then this brings forth strong attachment and aversion.
다 되네 되네 대학백 여보 진지와 또 가셔 봐라 말어서 아니 나세야 구자세야 그냥 스칸데 치레 하고 싶다
And in order to be able to change this mistaken perception, then we have to really look at the self or that we call the I and think, what is it really like?
말어서 나 구자세 돼야 돼 내가 좀 대비 구자 이상 좀 말어서 건가 다 되니까 뭐 나라 되네 따서 나세야지 하레스
So, with this I or this self, because we as humans and others are inhabiting this desire realm, we understand that we possess 5 aggregates, and it is on the basis of these 5 aggregates that the self is labeled or designated.
뭔가 세한테 구자위 나저레스
And so these 5 aggregates are what we call the basis of designation of the self.
뭔가 세나 수치 핀보데 리라쇼트 라바라바데 아니 텔레테제 카와 소와 소이 핀보 아니 텔레테제 카와 드시치 핀보 텔레테제 카와 드시치 핀보 아니 텔레타 칼레 카와 세나마디 팀피 뭔가 있는 아니 타마타마 모시기 핀보 뭔가 있는
So, in terms of these 5 aggregates, the first of these 5 aggregates is form, and that is sort of the coarser or the most comprehensible. Then we have feeling, slightly more subtle. Discrimination, even more subtle than that. Compositional factors, again more subtle. And then finally, the one that is a little bit more difficult to discern, abiding at the most subtle level, which is consciousness.
핀봉아디 여보 중에서 말았더니 탄다고데 르바서인데스.
And to be able to recognize or comprehend these five aggregates,
어,
there are three steps one can contemplate.
다데 단계도 몰라야 돼. 그 차라 건 거래는 라바.真的是去핀보. 근데 차라 그잖아. 도도 진데스.
So the first is going from the coarsest to the most subtle. So here the coarsest would be form, and then going from form is the coarsest to the more subtle aggregates.
대모시는가. 다 은행오 로도 지를 핀봉아데. 아니 뭐시 바샤발라 칼라스. 아니 사케 칼라그네 칼라테키 어 든디거든 발라테니 핀봉아데 하고 야진데스.
So another way to understand the five aggregates is through the example, using the example of a served meal. So we think of the vessel, the bowl holding the food itself. We think about the waiter who is serving the food, the person who is eating the food, and so forth.
다 같이 주대들이 렌저기 내서 이자 핀봉아고데 아니 레서도 위찬이라. 어른바 같이 뭐치데스.
And then another way to think about it, which connects with what we're speaking to today, because our topic is karma, is to think of these by way of which karma is accumulated.
대 간제스레 잘라바이나 레즈웅에 가르 이나 무사가 그게 레사사가 신자고데 주치 핀보 주몽아이 동보들이.
So when we think about karma and we think about the accumulator or the agent of karma, the basis of that accumulation is the first of these five aggregates, the form aggregate.
핀보 주치 핀보 세야데 아니 저 아니 리델 고야레스.
When we speak of the form aggregate in this context, we can understand that we are mainly speaking about the physical body.
아로소가 뭐예 소소가 니에이너레 소소가 닷 주디아 같은 머스 서드스이나요. 더보 통오게 될 리데 통인 거로 왔어.
When we think about the person who is close to us, when we think about the person who is our enemy or the person we have difficulty with, indeed, any person that we encounter, the first thing that we apprehend is their body, right? Their form aspect.
소소가 니에즈 대한다고 드리나나 저는 야보치 통인 거랬어.
And of course, if they are someone who is close to us, then most likely we will see them in a positive sense.
소소 무가사가 뭐든 드리나나 아니 야야보 많이 마시 통인 거랬어.
If it is the person who, or the animal who is our enemy, or the person that we have difficulty with, then we tend to see them, to perceive them in a negative sense.
든지지자 주치 핀보산다고 리세하데 아니 레서 비시데레니스.
So therefore, the apprehension of this form, or specifically here, this case of body, this is acting as the basis, the foundation for the accumulation of that karma.
니바 소위 핀보 아니 야보지 통화 이너레 뒤자지 통화 이너레 대통화나 때네 아니 요나는 저와 야보지 그래 요나는 저와 아니 야보 많이 바지 기본메베 저와지 근데 왔어.
The second point is feeling. On the basis of this form or the person that we apprehended, we have a feeling that arises. If it's that person that we perceive in an attractive or positive way, it gives rise to a pleasant feeling. If it's that person who we perceive in an unattractive or negative way, it gives rise to an unpleasant feeling.
든지자 소위 핀보들은 아니 니바들에 왔어.
So that is that second step, which is related to the aggregate of feeling.
다 담볼리데 야보 통나레 아니 야보 많이 바토나 통 텔라데네 저와중에 니슈스 왔어.
So on the basis of perceiving that form, we see that person is positive or negative, and then on that basis a feeling arises, whether pleasant or unpleasant.
tene tela tene simba tela ane dishi chipimbo sere ta ya po yin ko ya po yin bi tene je chere je sunu to nela tel la po mo ta ne so ta ya po ke je she to ya po ane si ji ya po ta da amara sunu to ne dishi la po ji ta ya es dishi
So the next one that comes is discrimination. So discrimination is arising after the feeling of the person being good or bad. And then, for example, in the case of the good person, discrimination is functioning to sort of confirm to us all of the reasons that they are good. Perhaps the way that they speak, the way that they hold themselves, perhaps their complexion is pleasing to us. For any of these reasons, discrimination is reifying how they are good, exaggerating the positive quality.
다 핀보 핀보 되게 다 레유야 거래가 차서 저 사발했어.
And we can see through these first three aggregates of form, feeling, and discrimination, they are sort of acting for those steps for the accumulation of karma.
다 림바지바 늦게 핀보스를 다 레텔라 때네 파보모 소노토네라 차도니라 때네 때네 레오나 레 아버지 용거래 요나 레 안에 뭐야 여보 많이 맘 겨와라고 용거를 왔어.
So then fourth is the compositional factor. So from perceiving that form, then the feeling arises, then we see that person in a positive or that thing in a positive or negative light. The attachment or the aversion arises, and then based upon that, we are compelled into something which is arising, karma, which is either wholesome or unwholesome, karma, which is either positive or negative.
다 던데 게일레 이나레 뭐 게일레 이나레 가르 이나요 되는 늦게 핀보스를 메파레스.
So once we get to this point with the arising of that karma, whether it is wholesome, virtuous, or unwholesome, non-virtuous, this can be put with this step, the fourth aggregate of compositional factors.
다 레즈ung에 가르 사바이나인 디베테 요나는 쳔들라 뭐지 용거 야레 요나는 시와시마 요나는 로 자타기 지라요 때네 레진드고 어느 다스 출라마르네 텐데 용거 야레스.
And so when we speak about the results of karma, we understand that the results of karma are something that can be experienced in this life, in a future life, or in the next life, I'm sorry, or in a future life that is even 100 years or more from now. We understand that they remain in the continuum of consciousness.
레진드고 뉴케스나 두거레 다포 자키스나 두거레 나세아데 나바 노시 핀보 사데레디스.
And whether we speak about the experiencer of karma, whether we speak about the mind or the mental continuum, which is holding the karma, whether we speak about the I or the self that is affected by karma, we can understand that these are related to the fifth aggregate of consciousness.
오다 레서 베르발라 때네 나세아 나이 다지 핀보가 할레아 때문하고 침보지게도 다네 예네스 부게 시고지 다시 아레스.
So, by looking at these through the point of view of the accumulation of karma connected with these five aggregates, which are the basis of designation of this I or the self, we can come to a new understanding, which is kind of like very invigorating, very interesting.
근데 진짜 때문에 조조의 레응해봐. 나는 레 패쳐. 레 마시바도 마체바. 레시바 처음서와 세네다. 대지가 돈이 드네 렌데테. 아니 야보시야도 드네. 때문에 뉴스.
So then, on the basis of thinking about this, then, and sort of watching how that unfolds, almost like an entertainment, then we can relate this to the key points of karma, how karma is certain, how karma increases, how we do not meet with the results of actions we do not do, and how the actions accumulated do not perish. On the basis of those 4 points, we can then come to a good comprehension of cause and effect or karma.
오다스 미넬레데스 할레하게 네스친디 소소 탑스 템보 마초바다 가제 테테 소소 제고시 다네 고자니다 트체크요레스.
And think how important and wonderful it is to understand cause and effect or karma, that I must be able to bring this forth in a stable way, and I will continue to engage with, for example, analytical meditation and so forth to be able to comprehend this.
오다 고이네스 디디치스.
So we will end that short glance meditation here.
오다 레토 모이나 고토야시도 다스도 시나 보게 때모요 봐. 예네지 봐. 오다 여보 따지 저는 이네 달리라고 하고 도연다고 지가레스.
So Geshe said, on the basis of cultivating this, whether you are a beginner or so forth, someone who is more experienced, you can sort of like go through these steps and watch them almost as something that is entertaining. This will really help you to more deeply understand the topic, to really see the way things really are.
대 레종의 가르 용도 마요세 대한테 조 세대 이자 선에 som바좀보 그토네 때는 링화에서 가르쳐 봐이나 소소기 봐 야야기 봐 이자 레종보 그디고 여보 임바티시 와레스.
And so we understand that karma, in terms of karma or action, the ultimate doer, propeller of that is the mind. And so then we understand that on the basis of that, it is really important to bring forth an attitude of kindness and then connect this to our activities of body, speech, and mind. This will lead to greater happiness for ourselves and greater happiness for others.
니마찌마 도면은 따지지 다 하고 있어서 som바좀보 그토네 계제시에도 리게 넣어져 아니 소소 야야마도 또 스튜나에 되니 가고 지내 대바이나 디니마티 지고라요 강가피 소소기고 예기고 헬레지네 대토야지 두어스.
We can really see this if we're able to bring forth a stable attitude of kindness with the words we say, with the words, with the expression that we show to others. We can see that any being, whether human or animal, this will help to bring them happiness. And so that is a day that has gone by really well.
어따 som방년바 기냐 som바 셀 som방년바 지칸이다 던지지네 어디바이나 이지바레를 보게 기고 매비 좋아지 템보요레스.
And if we go around with an unwholesome or a negative mind, we see that the results of that are the creation of unhappiness, of negative feelings in others, and so forth.
어따 렌데기네서 던지지네 빼시네 되네 첸데이는 시와 시마이는 시마네 시마더니 라파타나 아니 야 그렇게 지세를 대마지 도요레스.
And so if we understand through the points that Geshe shared this situation of karma or cause and effect, then we can see how this compels us from lifetime to lifetime and so forth.
야 뒤치 이야기.
Thanks very much. We'll end here.